The stars stretched out like a sea of light. Far beyond the edges of known space, where even the most advanced alien civilizations dared not go, a human ship floated silently. Its name was the USS Liberty. It was not the biggest ship, nor the fastest, but it carried something rare: curiosity. Captain Luke Harper stood on the bridge, watching the view screen as distant galaxies blinked like fireflies. He was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. Years of deep space travel had worn him down, but his mind stayed sharp. Behind him, the crew moved quietly between stations, checking systems, monitoring scans, making sure everything was working. "Status," he said, without turning. "All systems green," replied Maria Ellis from the communications console. She was young, maybe late 20s, with dark skin and a voice that always sounded calm even when things weren't. Next to her, Daniel Ortiz leaned back in his chair. He was the chief engineer, broad-shouldered with a beard and a permanent smirk. "Ship's running smooth. I'd say boring if we weren't about to do something really stupid." Claire Reynolds looked up from her station. She was the team's xenobiologist, curious and focused. "We're not doing anything stupid, we're exploring, that's what humans do." Luke finally turned to face them. "She's right. We've been sent here for a reason. Every other species avoids this part of space. They call it the Veil. No one knows why. We're going to find out." The silence that followed was heavy. Everyone knew the risks. Dozens of alien governments had warned Earth not to send ships into the Veil. Some had begged. Others had threatened. But humanity had never been good at backing down. "We're getting a signal," Maria said suddenly. "It's faint, not from any known source." Luke stepped closer to her console. "Can you clean it up?" Maria tapped a few buttons. Static filled the speakers, then a strange sound came through. It was not speech, not exactly. It was more like a whisper made of wind and thunder. The kind of sound that gave you chills even if you didn't understand it. "What is that?" Daniel asked. Claire frowned. "Not any language we know. Could be natural interference, or something else." "Something else?" Luke raised an eyebrow. She nodded slowly. "I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's out there." They all stared at the screen. The signal faded, but the feeling it left behind did not. "Keep monitoring," Luke said. "If we get more of that, I want to know." Hours passed. The Liberty drifted deeper into uncharted space. The stars grew fewer, farther apart. The sky turned darker, almost blacker than space should be. "We're approaching the edge of mapped space," Maria reported. "Officially, we're flying. Blind now." "Then keep your eyes open," Luke said. He walked over to Claire's station. She was scanning data, her fingers moving fast across the keyboard. "Anything?" he asked. She shook her head. "Nothing solid, just weird energy readings. Nothing harmful, but strange." "Strange how?" "Like space itself is wrong." Luke frowned. "Wrong?" "Yes. Like the rules don't apply the same way here." He didn't like the sound of that. But he also liked it even less when people started thinking too much about what they were doing. Fear was normal. Panic was not. "Just keep tracking it. Let me know if anything changes." "Will do." As he walked away, Claire glanced at the monitor again. The numbers didn't make sense. Gravity levels shifted slightly every few minutes. Time seemed to stretch and shrink. None of it was dangerous yet, but it was unsettling. In engineering, Daniel checked the power core. The ship was built to last, but even he could feel something off. "You okay?" asked a voice. He turned to see Lisa Parker, one of his techs. She was young, barely 22, but smart. "Yeah," he said. "Just making sure the engines are ready if we have to run." "Run? From what?" He shrugged. "Don't know. Feels like we're walking into a house with all the lights off." She smiled nervously. "That's poetic." "Hey, I'm full of surprises." They both laughed, but the sound felt hollow in the quiet halls of the ship. Back on the bridge, Luke sat in his chair, staring at the forward view. Space stretched endlessly ahead, but now, even the stars seemed dimmer. Navigation, he said. Where are we? A voice answered from the side. We've crossed into unknown space. Coordinates don't match any known charts. So we're the first humans here. Yes, sir. He took a deep breath. The weight of command pressed on his shoulders. He wasn't afraid. He was used to being first. But he knew that history often forgot the ones who went too far. Send a report back to Earth, he said. Mark this point as the official entry into the Veil, Maria typed quickly. The message would take weeks to reach Earth, but someone needed to know where they were. Message sent. Good, let's keep moving. The Liberty pushed forward. The darkness ahead seemed to grow thicker like fog. But there was no fog in space, only emptiness. And something else. Something watching. On the science deck, Claire ran another scan. The results confused her. This can't be right, she muttered. She called up another reading. And another. Each one showed the same thing. Luke, she said into the comms. You need to see this. He arrived within minutes, followed by Daniel and Maria. What's going on? He asked. Claire pointed at the screen. Look at this. The magnetic field around us. It's fluctuating wildly. And look here. She highlighted a section. Space-time itself is shifting. Not much, but enough to notice. Shifting how? Daniel asked. Like, we're not in real space anymore. Luke rubbed his chin. Define real space. I don't know, she admitted. But something is different. Our sensors can't fully explain it. He studied the data. Could be interference or something bigger. Bigger like what? He looked at her. I don't know, but we're going to find out. Hours passed. The Liberty kept moving. The crew tried to stay focused, but tension crept into their voices. Small mistakes happened. Missed steps, forgotten checks. Nothing serious, but enough to worry. Everyone's tired, Maria said during a break. We've been pushing hard. We're fine, Luke said. Just keep going. She looked at him. Do you feel it too? Feel what? Like something's pressing on you. Like your thoughts aren't quite your own. He hesitated. He had noticed it. A slight pressure in his head. A feeling that his thoughts were slowing down like walking through sand. I'll be fine, he said. We all will. She nodded but didn't look convinced. Later, alone in his quarters, Luke sat at his desk. He stared at a photo of his daughter. She was 5 now. He hadn't seen her in over a year. He missed her, but he also knew that what he was doing mattered. Whatever's out there, he whispered to himself. We're going to meet it. He closed his eyes for a moment, just a moment. When he opened them, the room felt colder. His heart beat faster. He stood up. Something had changed. He walked to the door, expecting it to slide open. It didn't. He tried again. Still nothing. He tapped the panel. No response. He looked around. The lights flickered once, then twice. Then, everything stopped. The hum of the ship, the soft beeping of panels, the usual background noise of life aboard a starship. Gone. Silence. Then, a whisper. Not from the speakers, from inside his head. A voice, soft and cold. Not words, just feelings. Fear, darkness, endless waiting. He staggered back. Then the lights came on, again. The systems rebooted. The door opened. Luke stood there, breathing hard. Was it real, or just his mind playing tricks? He didn't know, but he did know one thing. They were not alone. The next morning, Luke stood on the bridge again. Status, he asked. All systems normal, Maria said. No signs of danger, Daniel added. Claire, watch the scanner. The anomalies continue, but nothing new. Luke nodded. We keep going. Deeper? She asked. Yes. No one argued. They were humans. They were explorers, and they were not afraid. Not yet. The USS Liberty kept moving forward. The stars behind them were fading now, like lights being turned off one by one. Ahead was only blackness, thick and deep like ink spilled into water. "We've passed the last known star system," Maria said, from her station. "From here on, we're officially blind." Luke Harper stood near the center of the bridge, hands behind his back. He looked calm, but inside, something felt off. The silence outside the ship had grown heavier, not just quiet, but wrong. He turned to Claire Reynolds. "Anything new?" She shook her head slowly, eyes still on her scanner. "Nothing solid, but space doesn't feel right." "Define doesn't feel right," Daniel Ortiz said from engineering's console. "Like the rules have changed," she replied. "Gravity shifts a little every few minutes, time feels stretched. I can't explain it well." Daniel frowned. "So we're flying through a place where physics might not work like they should." "Basically," Claire said. Luke sighed. "Keep monitoring. If anything gets worse, I want to know before it kills us." Everyone nodded, though the tension in the room grew thicker. Hours passed. The crew moved through their routines, trying to keep things normal, but normal was slipping away. In the mess hall, Lisa Parker sat alone eating a small meal. She wasn't hungry, but she knew she needed to eat. Beside her, Daniel dropped into the seat across from her. "You okay?" he asked. She gave him a weak smile. "I don't know. I keep feeling like I'm forgetting things." "Like what?" "Names, dates, even my own face in the mirror feels different for a second." Daniel leaned back. "Yeah, I've been having that too. Thought it was just stress. Do you think it's this place?" "Maybe. Or maybe we're all just tired." They both laughed, but it didn't sound real. Back on the bridge, Luke stared at the screen. The void ahead seemed endless. Then something flickered. "What was that?" he asked. Maria checked her sensors. "Not sure. Movement, maybe, or just interference." Claire stepped closer. "No. It was something. I felt it." "Felt what?" Luke asked. "Like something watched us for a second, then looked away." Luke didn't like the sound of that. "Bring up external cameras." Maria tapped a few buttons. The screen shifted, showing the area directly in front of the ship. Nothing was there. "Nothing," Maria said. "Look again," Claire insisted. They zoomed in, enhanced the image. Then faintly, something appeared, a shape, barely visible, tall and thin, like a needle floating in darkness. "That wasn't there before," Maria whispered. Luke narrowed his eyes. "Are we seeing this in real time?" "Yes," Claire said. "It just showed up." "Put it on main display," Luke ordered. The image filled the screen. The object was massive. It didn't move, didn't blink, just hung there watching. "Is it a ship?" Daniel asked as he entered the bridge. "Doesn't look like any kind of ship we know," Claire replied. "Could be a station," Maria suggested. Luke studied it. "Or something else entirely." He turned to the helm. "Bring us closer." "Sir?" The pilot hesitated. "You heard me, slow approach." The ship moved forward. The dark shape grew larger on the screen. Then, without warning, the Liberty's lights flickered. Once, twice, then everything went out. Darkness swallowed the bridge. The hum of machines stopped. The usual background noise of life aboard a starship vanished. "What the hell?" Daniel muttered. Emergency lights came on a moment later, casting a soft red glow over the room. "Systems are down," Maria said quickly. "All non-essential functions just shut off." "What about engines?" Luke asked. "Still online," Daniel called from engineering. "Barely. Power levels are low, but we're not dead in the water." "Good," Luke said. "Find out." "What happened?" Maria typed fast, pulling up logs. "There was no attack, no power surge, systems just turned off." Claire looked pale. "This place is doing something to us." "Can you bring everything back online?" Luke asked. "Working on it," Maria replied. A minute later, the main lights came back on. The hum of the ship returned, but something had changed. "Scanners are picking up a new signal," Claire said. "Stronger than before." "Can we understand it?" Luke asked. "Not yet," she said. But it's not random, it's structured. Like language? Maybe, or something like it. Luke rubbed his temples. The pressure in his head had come back. Stronger this time. We need answers, he said, and we're going to get them. In the science lab, Claire ran more scans. The readings made less sense than before. This isn't possible, she muttered. Daniel walked in. What's not possible now? She pointed at the screen. Space itself is bending around us. Not much, but enough to make time and distance unreliable. So we could be moving forward while actually going backward? Yes. Or sideways. Or nowhere at all. Daniel scratched his beard. Great. So we're lost in a place that plays tricks on reality. Pretty much. He sighed. Well, at least it's interesting. She gave him a tired smile. If you say so. Later, Luke stood alone on the observation deck. The view outside was empty, black, endless. But he could feel it, the presence watching them. His thoughts slowed again. His memories felt like sand slipping through his fingers. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, the room was colder. The lights dimmed, and the whisper came again. Not from outside, from inside his mind. Faint, cold, endless, like something ancient was waiting, watching, learning. And suddenly he understood. This place was not empty. It was alive. And they had just arrived. The next morning, Luke stood on the bridge again. Status, he asked. System stable, Maria reported. No further anomalies, Claire added. Daniel crossed his arms. But I don't trust it. Luke looked at the screen. The dark shape was still there, unmoving. We're not turning back, he said. Didn't think we were, Daniel replied. Claire glanced at the captain. You okay? He met her eyes. No, but I'll be fine. They all knew what was coming. Something big. Something strange. Something older than stars. But they were humans, and fear was not going to stop them. Not yet. The USS Liberty floated silently near the dark shape. It was massive, stretching far beyond what the ship's sensors could fully measure. It didn't move, didn't blink, just hovered in the void like a forgotten monument. Luke Harper stood on the bridge, arms crossed, watching the screen. His face was calm, but inside he felt the weight of something bigger than anything they had ever faced. Still no response to our signals, Maria Ellis said from communications. Whatever that thing is, it's not talking back. Claire Reynolds leaned over her scanner. It's emitting low-level energy pulses, not weapons, not life signs either. I can't tell what it is. Daniel Ortiz walked onto the bridge holding a tablet. I ran a full check on all systems. Everything's working, but some readings are off, like we're moving through thick water instead of empty space. Luke nodded slowly. So we keep going. We need answers. Maria looked up. You mean we go closer? He met her eyes. Yes. No one argued. They were used to being first. They were used to stepping into the unknown. But this time, something about the silence made their skin crawl. An hour later, the Liberty moved forward. The shape grew larger on the screen. It wasn't smooth like a normal ship or station. It was jagged, almost broken, as if it had been built by something that didn't care about form. This place doesn't feel abandoned, Claire muttered. What do you mean? Luke asked. She hesitated before answering. Like someone or something is still here. Just not in a way we can see. Luke frowned. Then we'll have to see better. He turned to the helm. Bring us alongside it. Prepare for docking. The pilot gave him a look but followed orders. As the ship drew closer, lights flickered along the surface of the structure. Faint, blinking like old stars dying out. Did anyone else see that? Daniel asked. Yes, Maria said quietly. It responded. To their surprise, a docking port opened. Not fast, not smoothly, but enough for the Liberty to connect. Well, Daniel said. Either it wants us here, or it's been waiting. Luke stood. Suit up. We're going in. 10 minutes later, the team stood at the airlock. They wore light armor and carried standard gear. Nothing fancy. Humans weren't big on showy equipment. They preferred things that worked. Luke led the way, followed by Claire, Daniel, and 2 others, Lisa Parker and Tommy Gilbert, both young and eager. The tunnel connected to the alien station. The door slid open with a slow hiss. Inside, it was dark. Dim red lights lined the walls barely enough to see. Scanners aren't picking up life signs, Claire whispered. But the place is still active, Lisa added. They stepped inside. The hallway stretched ahead, narrow and cold. The floor was metallic but uneven, like it had shifted over time. Stay sharp, Luke ordered. They moved carefully, boots echoing softly. Every sound felt louder in the silence. After a few minutes, they reached a large room. It was circular, with control panels built into the walls. Most were inactive, covered in dust or something darker. This looks like a command center, Daniel said, checking a console. Can you get anything working? Luke asked. Daniel tapped a few buttons. Nothing happened. Power's low, he said. Maybe even dead. But something kept the lights on. Claire scanned the area. There's residual energy. Not recent, but not ancient either. Someone was here. Not too long ago. Lisa stepped toward a wall. There were markings carved into the metal. Symbols. Not random. This is writing, she said. Or something like it. Tommy pulled out a small recorder. Should I log it? Yes, Claire said. We might need it later. Luke walked toward the center of the room. Something about the place felt wrong. Not dangerous, not yet, but like it remembered. His comms crackled. Captain, Maria's voice came through. You should come back. We're getting strange readings from outside. On our way, he replied. They turned to leave. That's when the lights changed, from dim red to pale blue. And then the voices started. Not loud, not clear, just whispers. Too many to count, coming from everywhere and nowhere. The team froze. Did anyone else hear that? Tommy asked, voice shaking. Yes, Lisa whispered. Something's here. Claire looked at her scanner. Energy levels just spiked, but there's still no life signs. Then what the hell is making noise? Daniel muttered. Luke raised his hand. Quiet. They listened. The whispers grew louder. Not words, just feelings. Fear, pain, loss, and something else. Something watching, waiting. The lights flickered again. Then suddenly, the panels on the walls lit up, weakly at first, then brighter. Symbols flashed across screens, and then one word appeared in perfect English. Leave. Everyone saw it. Okay, Daniel said. That's new. How does it know our language? Lisa asked. Maybe it learned, Claire said. Or maybe it's been watching us longer than we thought. Luke stared at the screen. We're not leaving. Not yet. The word blinked once, then vanished. A second later, the lights went out. Everything stopped. Again. Darkness swallowed them. No power, no comms. Nothing. Then slowly, the red lights returned. But now the room was different. The walls had changed. Where there had been blank metal, there were now images, drawings, figures. Some looked humanoid, others did not. All of them standing beneath the same black shape they had seen floating in space. And in the center of it all, a single symbol. Not a word. Not a picture, just a mark, like an eye. Watching. Claire took a deep breath. This isn't just a station. What is it? Lisa asked. A warning, Claire said. Luke looked at her. Explain. She pointed at the images. These aren't just records. They're messages. This place was built to warn others, to keep them away. From what? Daniel asked. From whatever is out there. They all turned toward the dark shape beyond the window, and for the first time, none of them wanted to be so close. Back on the Liberty, the crew worked quickly. Maria monitored external activity while engineers checked for system damage. "Anything?" Luke asked as he and the others returned. "Not much," Maria replied. "But we picked up a burst of data right after the lights went out." Claire stepped forward. "Was it from the station?" "Yes, and it's still coming." Maria brought up the feed. Lines of text scrolled across the screen. Not English, not any known language, but structured, organized. "This is a message," Claire said. "Can we translate it?" Luke asked. "Working. On it," Maria replied. Minutes passed. Slowly, fragments began to make sense. Names, dates, warnings, and one phrase repeated over and over. "Do not awaken." Claire read it aloud. "Do not awaken it." Luke looked at her. "What does that mean?" She shook her head. "I don't know. But whatever is here, it's not just watching us." "Then what is it?" She looked at the screen again. "It's sleeping." Later, alone in his quarters, Luke sat at his desk. The message played over and over in his mind. "Do not awaken it." He stared at the photo of his daughter on the table. Outside, the darkness pressed against the ship like a living thing. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, the room was colder. The lights dimmed and the whisper came again. Closer this time. Not from outside. From inside his head. Not a voice. Just a feeling. Something waking up and looking at him. The next morning, Luke stood on the bridge again. "Status?" he asked. "System stable," Maria reported. "No further anomalies," Claire added. Daniel crossed his arms. "But I don't trust it." Luke looked at the screen. The dark shape was still there, unmoving. "We're not turning back," he said. "Didn't think we were," Daniel replied. Claire glanced at the captain. "You okay?" He met her eyes. "No, but I'll be fine." They all knew what was coming. Something big, something strange, something older than stars. But they were humans, and fear was not going to stop them. Not yet. The USS Liberty stayed docked to the alien station. The crew worked fast, trying to understand the data they had recovered. The message was clear: do not awaken it. But no one knew what it was. Luke Harper stood on the bridge, arms crossed, staring at the screen. The dark shape still floated outside, unmoving. But something about it felt different now. Like it was waiting. "Anything new?" he asked. Maria Ellis looked up from her console. "The data burst we received keeps repeating. It's not random. It's a pattern." Claire Reynolds leaned over her scanner. "I think it's a warning system. The station is sending out signals, maybe to something else." "Something else like what?" Daniel Ortiz asked as he walked onto the bridge. She shook her head. "Not sure. But if this place was built to keep something away, then whoever built it must have been afraid." Luke frowned. "Then why build it here? Why not destroy whatever they were afraid of?" Maria tapped a few keys. Maybe they couldn't. Silence fell over the bridge. They had come looking for answers. Instead, they were finding more questions. And fear. In the science lab, Claire worked with Lisa Parker and Tommy Gilbert to decode the symbols found inside the station. The images on the walls had started to make more sense. "Look at this," Claire said, pointing at a set of drawings. "These figures, they're not just warnings. They're records." Lisa studied the screen. "You mean like history?" "Yes, but not ours. Theirs." Tommy tilted his head. "So this species lived here once?" "Looks like it," Claire replied. "Until something happened." Lisa pointed at another image. "This looks like an evacuation. Or a retreat." Tommy added. Claire nodded slowly. "Either way, they left. And they left this place behind." "Why?" Lisa asked. "Because they couldn't stay." "And now we're here," Tommy whispered. Claire didn't answer. She didn't need to. They all understood. They were walking through the ruins of something ancient, Something powerful, and something that had scared an entire civilization into silence. Meanwhile, Daniel checked the ship's systems again. The Liberty had taken some kind of hit when they first entered the Veil. Not physical, not mechanical, something deeper. He sat in engineering, running diagnostics on the power core. Everything seemed fine, but every time he ran a test, the numbers changed slightly, like the ship itself wasn't sure what it was anymore. He rubbed his eyes. This is getting weird. What is? Lisa asked as she walked in. He pointed at the screen. Look at this, the readings are shifting not because of damage, because of something else. She stepped closer. Space-time? Could be, he said. Or something even weirder. She hesitated. Do you think we should tell the captain? Yes, he said. But I also think he already knows. On the bridge, Luke listened to Maria explain the latest findings. The signal we picked up isn't just repeating, she said. It's changing, slowly. Changing how? He asked. It's adapting, she replied, like it's learning. Claire walked in. We found something else. The station wasn't just built to warn others, it was built to contain something. Luke turned to her. Contain? Yes, she said. Like a prison. He looked at Maria. And the signal? Maria swallowed. If it's adapting, then maybe it's trying to communicate. With who or what? Luke stood. We need to know what's inside that station? Claire looked surprised. Sir, we've already seen enough to know this place is dangerous. And if we leave now, we might never get another chance. She opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. He was right. They had come too far to turn back now. An hour later, Luke led a small team back into the station. This time they moved deeper than before. The halls were colder, darker. The air felt heavier, like they were walking through water. I don't like this, Tommy muttered. No one does, Daniel replied. But we keep going. They reached a large door. Unlike the others, this one was sealed tight. Thick metal covered in strange markings. Claire scanned it. This is older than the rest of the station. How old? Lisa asked. Hard to say. Thousands of years. Maybe more. Daniel examined the lock. This wasn't just closed, it was locked for a reason. Luke stepped forward. Can you open it? Daniel smirked. Watch me. He pulled out a small tool and began working on the control panel. After a few minutes, the door groaned. Then, slowly, it opened. A rush of cold air came out, carrying dust and something else. Something old. They stepped inside. The room was massive, filled with rows of machines, panels blinking faintly, wires hanging from the ceiling. In the center there was a structure, not a machine, not a statue. Something else. It looked like a cocoon. Black, smooth, silent, and watching. Claire stepped closer. Her scanner went wild. What is it? Lisa asked. Claire didn't answer. She couldn't. Her mind was racing. The energy readings were off the charts. Not just high. Unstable. Whatever was inside that thing was alive. Captain, she finally said, we need to go. Luke looked at her. What did you find? She pointed at the cocoon. Something was put here, locked away, and whatever it is. She took a breath. It's not dead. The room grew colder. The lights flickered, and from deep within the cocoon something shifted. Just a little, but enough to feel, enough to know. It was waking up. Back on the Liberty, Maria monitored the station. The moment the team entered the lower levels, the signal changed again. It became stronger, faster, more urgent. She called the bridge. Something's happening down there. Luke's voice came through. We noticed. Should I prepare for emergency extraction? Yes. But not yet. She frowned. Sir? We need to understand what we're dealing with. She didn't like it, but she followed orders. Minutes passed. Then the comms crackled. Claire to Liberty. Go ahead. We found it, Claire said, voice shaking. It's real. Describe it. A containment unit holding something big. Big how? I don't know. But it's not awake yet. Maria's stomach dropped. Yet? There was a pause. Yes, Claire said. But it's starting to move. Get out of there, Maria said quickly. On our way. Back on board, the team rushed to their stations. Everyone could feel it now. Something had changed. Something had woken up. Luke stood on the bridge. Prepare to disengage from the station. Daniel was already at his post. Engines are ready. Maria looked at the screen. The signal, it's spreading. Claire stared at her scanner. It's broadcasting. Broadcasting what? Luke asked. Not sure, she said. But it's not just a message. Then what is it? She met his eyes. A warning. Later, alone. In his quarters, Luke sat at his desk. The photo of his daughter stared back at him. Outside, the darkness pressed against the ship like a living thing. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, the room was colder. The lights dimmed, and the whisper came again. Closer. Louder. Not just watching. Now, it was listening, and it was learning. The next morning, Luke stood on the bridge again. Status? He asked. System stable, Maria reported. No further anomalies, Claire added. Daniel crossed his arms. But I don't trust it. Luke looked at the screen. The dark shape was still there, unmoving. We're not turning back, he said. Didn't think we were. Daniel replied. Claire glanced at the captain. You okay? He met her eyes. No. But I'll be fine. They all knew what was coming. Something big. Something strange. Something older than stars. But they were humans, and fear was not going to stop them. Not yet. The USS Liberty drifted away from the alien station. Its engines were running, but something felt wrong. Not broken, just different. Luke Harper stood on the bridge, watching the dark shape fade into the distance. It hadn't moved, hadn't attacked, hadn't done anything at all, but he knew better. Something had changed. He could feel it in his bones. Status? He asked. Maria Ellis looked up from her console. We're clear of the station. No pursuit. No contact. Daniel Ortiz leaned back in his chair. That's good, right? Claire Reynolds didn't answer right away. She was scanning data, eyes moving fast across the screen. What is it? Luke asked. She finally spoke. The signal we picked up, it's still active. We already knew that, Daniel said. Yes, Claire replied, but now it's spreading. Everyone turned to look at her. Spreading how? Maria asked. Claire tapped a few keys. The main display showed a map of space around them. Lines of energy pulsed outward like ripples in water. It's broadcasting, she said. Not just inside the station, it's reaching farther now. Luke frowned. How far? We don't know yet, she admitted. But if this keeps going, it might reach other systems. Silence fell over the bridge. They had come looking for answers. Instead, they had sent out a message. And they didn't know who or what was listening. In the science lab, Claire worked with Lisa Parker and Tommy Gilbert. They ran more scans, trying to understand what they had found. This isn't normal energy, Claire muttered. It doesn't behave like anything we've seen before. Lisa studied the readings. You mean like it's not just power? It's something else? Yes, Claire said. Like it's alive. Tommy raised an eyebrow. Alive how? She hesitated. Not in the way we think of life, but it reacts, adapts, learns. Lisa swallowed. So we woke something up. Claire didn't answer. She didn't need to. They all understood. They had opened a door, and something had stepped through. Meanwhile, Daniel checked the ship's systems again. The Liberty was holding together, but something about it felt off. He sat in engineering, watching the power core pulse gently. It was stable. Too stable, He rubbed his temples. His head hurt. Not badly, but enough to notice. His thoughts felt slow, like walking through mud. He shook his head. "You okay?" Lisa asked as she walked in. He nodded. "Just tired." She gave him a skeptical look. "You sure?" "Yeah," he said. "Just need some sleep." But even as he said it, he wasn't sure he believed it. On the bridge, Luke watched the stars go by. They looked the same as always, but he knew better. Nothing was the same anymore. Maria noticed him staring. "You thinking about what we left behind?" He nodded slowly. "I keep wondering if we made a mistake." "You mean going in there?" "Yes," he said. "We wanted answers. Instead, we might have started something we can't stop." She looked down. "We didn't know." "No," he agreed. "We didn't." There was a pause. Then she whispered, "Do you think it followed us?" He didn't answer, because he didn't know. Later that day, alarms went off, not loud, not urgent. Just a soft chime from the science station. Claire called the bridge. "Captain, you need to see this." Luke arrived within minutes. So did Daniel and Maria. Claire pointed at the screen. "Look at this." Lines of code scrolled across the display. Not from their systems. Not from the station. From somewhere else. "What is it?" Luke asked. Claire took a breath. "Data. Coming from the signal." Maria frowned. "But it's not just repeating anymore." "Right," Claire said. "It's responding." Daniel crossed his arms. "Responding to what?" To that, no one had an answer, until Lisa spoke up. "Maybe it's responding to us." Everyone turned to her. She shrugged. "We sent out a message when we entered the veil. Maybe something answered." Luke stared at the screen. "Or maybe it's learning." Claire nodded. "Yes, exactly." Maria looked uneasy. "Learning what?" Claire met her eyes. How to be human. Back in his quarters, Luke sat alone. The lights were low. The room was quiet. He looked at the photo of his daughter on the table. Outside, the stars passed slowly. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, the room was colder. The lights dimmed, and the whisper came again. Not from outside. From inside his head. Closer than before. Not just watching. Not just listening. Now, it was thinking. And it was starting to understand. The next morning, Luke stood on the bridge again. "Status?" he asked. "System stable," Maria reported. "Signal is still spreading," Claire added. Daniel crossed his arms. "Still don't trust it." Luke looked at the screen. The darkness behind them was gone, but something else had taken its place. "We keep moving," he said. "Toward where?" Maria asked. He didn't answer because he didn't know. All he knew was that they couldn't go back. Not now. Not ever. Hours passed. The Liberty kept flying. But something was different. The hum of the ship sounded wrong. Not broken, just changed, as if the ship itself had learned something. Something new, something strange, something that had once been asleep, and now was awake. Later, Lisa stood alone in the mess hall. She was eating, but not really hungry. Tommy joined her. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Just tired." He looked at her. "You sure?" "Yes," she said. "Just, sometimes I forget things." "Like what?" She hesitated. "Names, places. Even my own face in the mirror feels different." Tommy frowned. "Same here." They both laughed, but it didn't sound real. In the science lab, Claire ran another scan. The results made less sense than before. She looked at the screen. Then again. Then a third time. Her hands trembled slightly. "This can't be right," she whispered. Daniel walked in. "What's wrong?" She pointed at the monitor. "Look at this." He studied the numbers. "Okay, what am I seeing?" She took a deep breath. "Space-time is shifting again." "Again?" "Yes," she said. "But this time," she looked at him. "This time it's happening inside the ship." Luke stood on the bridge watching the forward view. The stars blurred slightly. Not much. Just enough to notice. Maria tapped her console. "Captain, we're getting more data from the signal. Can we understand it yet?" he asked. "Some of it," she said. "But it's not just a message." "Then what is it?" She looked at him. "A presence." He frowned. "Explain." She hesitated. "Whatever we woke up. It's not just watching us anymore," he met her eyes. "It's inside us." Later, alone in his quarters, Luke sat at his desk. The photo of his daughter stared back at him. Outside, the stars passed by. Slowly. Too slowly. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, the room was colder. The lights dimmed, and the whisper came, again, not from outside, not from the ship, from inside his own mind. And this time it sounded almost human.